The Class 08 is a diesel shunter from the UK. A staggering 996 examples of this design were built between 1952 and 1962, and they could be found working all throughout the British rail network. These days, at least 182 members of the class still exist, with 82 of them being in preservation and the remainder still in regular service. There have been numerous renditions of the Class 08 made for Train Simulator down the years, but for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to focus on the freeware Class 08 made by RS Railworks. Incidentally, this is not the first time I've featured the RS 08 on the channel, as she appears in my earlier video on the Buchan line. As far as I can tell, the RS-08 was first released in June 2025, followed by an updated version in January 2026. We're off to a good start with the fact that, aside from the base game, there are no requirements for the locomotive to function. The developer has made a manual that includes detailed instructions on how to install the add-on, which can be quite useful for people who are not familiar with installing add-ons that don't come from Steam. As for what's included, for starters, there's a selection of 11 liveries. That is nowhere near all the liveries that have ever been worn by Class 08s down the years, but still a decent selection in its own right. The liveries are as follows: BR Black, BR Black in a weathered state, BR Blue with yellow rods and black buffer beams, BR Blue with red rods and buffer beams, BR Full Green, BR Green with wasp stripes at both ends, English, Welsh and Scottish Railway, a heavily weathered version of British Rail Blue, Intercity Swallow, LSWR Lined Black, and Network Southeast. Personally, my favourite livery is a tie between BR Green, with wasp stripes, and Network Southeast. The former because it was the first variant of the RS-08 that I drove, and the latter because I own a 00 scale model of 08-600 Ivor in NSE colours. The model in question is an old Bachmann branch line thing whose tooling dates back to 2000. Another one of the included liveries that stood out to me was LSWR Lined Black, even if mainly because I didn't know anything about this one at first. If my research is correct, it was applied to Locomotive number 08436 in 2017. Quite by chance, I actually saw the ruddy thing when I visited the Swanage Railway in April 2025, but thought nothing of it at the time. In my opinion, RS Railworks' texturing is, for the most part, a welcome improvement over what's available on the 08s you can get in payware add-ons from Steam, especially this BR Green variant that comes with Weardale and Teesdale or the Buchan line. As far as I'm concerned, modelling is decent on the freeware 08, but the proportions of the front radiator grille aren't quite right compared to the real 08. Some details on the freeware 08 can be customised in the scenario editor, or driver mode in the case of these ladders. They're added with L and removed with Shift L. The other customisable details are the placement and type of BR logo, the locomotive's running number, and the 3D nameplates. Check the manual for the full list of available nameplates and BR logo types/placements. One particular nameplate that caught my eye is Phantom, as seen on 08604 at the Didcot Railway Centre. By default, all the liveries except BR Black load with a TOPS number. This is unrealistic for the BR Green liveries, but you can change it to a more prototypical 4 digits beginning with a D prefix in the scenario editor. There was no point in doing a speed test for the Class 08 because I already knew that, as she was designed solely for shunting, her maximum speed is only 15 miles per hour. Her controls are pretty much the same as standard diesels in TS Classic, but one thing to bear in mind is the notched throttle. According to the manual, you can hold the throttle in between notches to get more control at slower speeds. You can ignore the notches by using Shift A and Shift D. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of a Class 08 moving in real life, so I can't really do a sound comparison between the RS Railworks model and her real-life counterpart. Something I forgot to mention this whole time is the fact that the Class 08 is also supplied with J&A ballast wagons. These are supplied in clean or weathered states along with empty, fully loaded, or partially loaded conditions. In closing, I can safely say that I'm happy with the RS Railworks Class 08. My only criticisms are A, the front end grille being a little bit too tall, B, the lack of a driver figure in the cab, and C, a small bug that I noticed on the BR Blue with yellow side rods variant where the number only appeared on one side, and I also think the textures on the BR Black variant could be better. I do not intend to annoy RS Railworks, just trying to suggest things that could be improved, that's all. I don't really know anything about this developer, but based on my experience with the Class 08, I have a good first impression. If I could afford to commission a new diesel locomotive add-on from the developer, my money would be on the Class 03, as the game's existing 03 model is pretty old. Even the retextured version, from Dovetail's BR Blue pack, is getting long in the tooth now. On the whole, the Class 08 is a solid item of DLC, especially for a freeware pack, and I recommend trying her out if you're interested in British diesel shunters. As for a rating, I think I'll give the RS Railworks Class 08 a 6.7 out of 10.